All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. It's September 4th when I am recording this, and welcome to everybody who is out on Facebook, YouTube, X. We already have the Moxie traders in the Moxie room. We've been on for, gosh, an hour and a half, haven't we, this morning? Time flies. So we were looking at the market coming into this. Yesterday was a pretty big down day. It kind of morphed into a bigger day than I think most people were expecting. And what that did is that brought price all the way down into the daily 50. I thought price was going to go down to the daily 21. It went a little bit further. So yeah, this market's looking pretty heavy. The other thing is, if we look at the SPX, and we've been looking at 5600, which is kind of this center strike. 5600 has been a magnet both to the upside and to the downside for quite some time. And so that's where it was circling around. We even had price staying over the 8 EMA for quite some time, making this look like, oh, maybe this is going to be a little bit stronger than people thought. And then on Friday, we got this heck of a move back to the upside. And you got to look at this and say, well, that seems like it was a short squeeze, because I think most likely my assumption is from here, people probably thought the market was going to at least go down to its lower range, which would probably be right around here, 55.60, because you can see here that was the previous low area for all of that. And when the market stopped short and didn't want to go any further, to 55.60, then, well, what else is there to do? Let's squeeze those shorts. And we got that move to the upside. And boy, going into the weekend, it sure looked like it was, possibly going to be a continuation to the upside or something like that. But we didn't take any moves. We didn't take any trades into the weekend. I definitely didn't. I didn't trust anything. Those of you who've been talking about seasonality and everything like that, September is seasonally weak, and we open up Tuesday. So Monday was a holiday, so we open up Tuesday with a little bit of a gap down, and the market just sinks all day long. So that's kind of what happened there as far as those moves. And we just got too oversold, I think. And so today we're looking for a move back to the upside. I think it's still got to do its process. This is what we've been talking in the Moxie room for the last hour and a half. And Nasir, yeah, it's great to it's always out here doing the social media stuff, kind of talking about what we do. But I think, yeah, as you said, Nasir, you wouldn't have found us if it wasn't for the Facebook or YouTube stuff. And I think we all understand advertising is kind of a thing that we have to do out there. And I show you my stuff and how this stuff works. And if you guys like it, then you come on over. But what we're looking at here is the elf shoe. So I'm still looking long on this market, at least for a day trade, intraday, something like that, because Tuesday was such a big move to the downside. I do want to see if we get a bounce or a reversion to the mean. We are sitting right here on the daily 50. I got to think that that's going to be temporary support, maybe for one day, maybe for 3 days. We don't know. What kind of bounce are we going to get from here? And I think that maybe we can come back up to probably the hourly 50. These are some of the things that I'm looking at and seeing what we can do. If we do get up to the hourly 50, which is about 5,600 at this point, then that'll mean we'll probably just overshoot the 15-minute 50, and we'll have to see if that actually happens. And then we can kind of go from there. So yeah, for those of you in the Moxie room, remember I'm looking at this as an elf shoe. And who was it that was just asking me this morning about the elf shoe, and we were discussing this? And you're asking if it was if an elf shoe is a double bottom or anything else like that. Well, let's look at what's happening right now, because if that happens, if this happens the way that it might be, notice that we can't say, maybe a double bottom would be right here. Well, what if price doesn't actually come down to that exact double bottom? Was it a double bottom? Well, that's why I like to try and call it an elf shoe, because what we look for is price to come back and test the low area. And it can be anywhere. It can be here, it can be here, it can be here. It's the low area. It's just trying to come back to where price found some support and see if it's going to hold. And if it holds, then we continue to move up. Okay. Now, if it doesn't work, because remember, I always say that a double bottom only works when it works. Otherwise, it's a resting area until price moves lower. Then what's going to happen is, you come down here, you bounce. So everyone's like, oh, okay, there's some support. And now we're going to come back and retest that. And that's what everybody's doing in there here. They're fighting, they're, bulls, bears, long, short, they're trying to figure out, are we going to use that area of support and we're going to go higher? Or are we going to fight and nope, the bear is going to win and we're going to go lower? That's really what's happening there. And that's why I say this is a resting area until price goes lower if it doesn't hold. Okay, so that's the battle. Yeah, just kind of from my experience and structural and stuff like that, I would like to see if this holds to go to the upside. I think it would provide a nice opportunity. And on the lower time frames, what we could possibly be getting is a trampoline move. So if we get an elf shoe on the 15-minute time frame, that will be a trampoline move on the 5-minute, and we'll just have to see. Right now, it's too early to tell. And those of you who are with us in the Moxie room, this 50, 250 maneuver on the 2-minute actually worked out perfectly. It really did. So now we just have to wait and see, is this pattern going to be bullish or bearish? As I said, I'm kind of the camp that today maybe it's neutral, but I don't really think, I'm just not expecting more downside. That's just kind of my first thought. Of course, I will be looking at the charts. We'll be looking at the calls and the puts to help tell us that information. And for those of you in the Moxie room, I am looking at the calls and puts on my other screen, and I got stuff that when I'm done here, I can hop back on the mic with you and kind of tell you why I'm not sure that the puts are actually going to be the thing today. We actually just talked about it, about that zero DTE stuff and the structure and how to look at it. And I'm seeing the same thing. So I want to go back and discuss that with you guys. So yeah, we'll have to kind of see if this looks. If we are going to go back up to the upside, then of course we need to see the 2-minute re-engage to the upside. So we'll have to give that a little bit more time to get itself figured out. And if we look at the internals, uh, not bearish. That's what I would say, not bearish. I know the ticks are coming down right here, but the ticks can move quite a bit. But generally speaking, they're at least not bearish. The order flow is positive. Stocks were down this morning, but now they're up. Yes, they might be pulling back, but that's kind of the natural thing of what happens when uh, after you have a big down day like this. Usually stocks are not going to go straight up like this. They've got to kind of hammer out their lows. They got to do the double bottom. They got to test some support, and they have to get things changed and realigned, and they have to get the moving averages shaped back to the upside. We can't go up when moving averages are down. So they've kind of got to do this work to get everything to start pointing back in the right direction, even if it's just the 2-minute, 5-minute, and some of the lower time frames like that. So that's what I'm seeing there on the SPX. And then after that, I think the bigger question is, once we do whatever we're going to do here at the daily 50, bounce 1 day, 5 days, whatever that bounce is, do we continue going up, or are we going to roll over a little bit further? Unfortunately, I'm now kind of getting into the camp that I'm concerned that this bounce that we're getting right now, maybe today or tomorrow, could actually just be a bounce into resistance, and we could actually break below the daily 50 on the S&P. So a little bit concerned about that. Again, Moxie Room, I can talk about the put call ratio, and then we can talk about the 50-day SMA breadth as part of my reasoning for that. So it's been a little bit of a tricky market up and through here. And so I think that's kind of what's happening. That being said, I think Tesla was kind of like the one shiny spot today, which is pretty incredible for some of the FANG stocks to be having Tesla actually looking pretty strong today. Hey, great. Happy to see that. What I've been looking for is I wanted to see this area right here on the hourly chart start to actually hold. So you can see it was right kind of in that middle section where, yes, we're starting to get price past the 50 and the 200, and the Moxie indicator is just starting to work. And I'm happy to see that today is a strong update like that. If that continues, if that persists, then what I'd be looking at is leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, and we want to see price move up. And if it does continue to move up, like if we get price to actually get over the daily 50 and this continues to carry and go long, then price below the 50, Moxie indicator above 0 is a trampoline move on the daily chart. And that's fantastic. So that would be really nice to the upside. Now, I'm just a little bit hesitant about, wondering that if the market does need to come down, or maybe it needs to continue to chop around for a bit, what what's the rest of the stuff? Like what are the rest of the FANG stocks going to do? And I need to see these things shape up. So I've been talking about this for at least 2 weeks at this point, because if we look at FNGU, which is the leveraged ETF of the FANG stocks, they had that really big bounce after the yen carry trade low. And remember, I've been saying this whole time that this really was just a bounce. We don't know what's going to happen next, but this is just a bounce. We need to see what happens after the pullback to figure out, do we keep going up, or is this actually just a bounce in a downtrend? And so you can see we ran right into that daily 50, and we even got a little stretched as price pulled away from these moving averages. And I said, yeah, there's just nothing to really, yes, there's a bounce, but nothing to do here as far as saying, oh, I think we're going to keep going up after this. And so what I said is we need to watch for that pullback. And sure enough, there's that pullback. And you can see there just has not been any sign or signal. Friday was maybe, yeah, I think Friday, it got close, but we didn't take any trades. This is part of why. Yeah, Emil, you should be able to see my screens. I didn't change anything yet. So you guys should be able to see my screens just fine. If not, then you might need to refresh. So in through here, I said we need to look for the pullback, and sure enough, there's your pullback. Friday looked like a maybe. The Moxie indicator kind of flashed green because I think of that end of day bounce that we got, but nothing held. And what I look for is even on the 15, notice how nothing has been holding yet, and even on the hourly, we still can't get any traction yet. Now this might set up a really, really big elf shoe, maybe kind of some double bottom in through here. Yeah, Emil, I don't know what to tell you. I only have one screen up. Right now I have FNGU up, daily, hourly. Doesn't seem like anybody else is having troubles. So I don't know what to tell you. I haven't changed anything for the last almost 2 hours. So yeah, then we need to just wait and see. We just need to wait and see if eventually this pullback finds some support and if we can keep going up. If not, then we continue to pull back. And we just have to kind of sit on our hands until that happens. So FNGU, not much going on there. I noticed we were talking about Apple this morning. Apple's still getting hit pretty hard. Really not much going on there. And if you guys want to see the exact moment, this is really pretty crazy. And this is why I do what I do and I teach what I see. Yeah, Joe, thanks. Yeah, you're over there on in Facebook and YouTube land, so I think you guys are doing just fine over there. But look at this. The exact moment, and those of you out in the social medias, here's a little freebie for you. The exact moment that Apple confirmed that it was not going to go up and that it was going to go down was right there when it got rejected by the 15-minute 50. They're not always this clean, but boy, when they are, look at that. Look at that. How perfect is that? And you can see that the Moxie indicator was below zero also. And that exact moment was when price broke the hourly 50. So, yeah, pretty much there you go. No setup, at least not to the upside. And that's what confirmed more downside. Now, we were talking about Apple this morning and saying, yeah, hey, look, this market is probably not going to really bounce if we don't get the mega caps on board, the Mag 7. And so I flipped over to look at Apple and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Look at this. Apple still struggling. Now, it has come back a bit, but, we're still pulling back. Market's pulling back. That's what we're waiting for. Now, those of you in the Moxie room, and Nasir, I'm sure you get this up and down every day, but those of you in the Moxie room, what are the things I'm looking at even on Apple? So if we're still looking long for the market, for some calls, for a day trade, maybe it works today, maybe it works tomorrow, we're not sure. And if we need the Mag 7 to be on board, and we kind of looked at FNGU, but let's say we're looking at Apple specifically. Number one, I don't want to be short, partly because of how big yesterday was, and even today, even this morning, we had some more downside. But I don't want to go short because we're out here on that third ATR, even on the 15-minute time frame. And then what are we seeing here on the 5-minute? I'll come back into the Moxie room and we can talk about all this stuff, but I'm seeing an elf shoe. And how about on the 2-minute? We should be seeing a trampoline move there too. So unless these things break right here, unless this breaks lower for some reason, then I'm not looking short. I actually want to see if we can start moving back up to the upside at some point. As I said, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this thing actually continues to get rejected like that. But for right now, I'm seeing some bullish patterns and I'm just sitting on my hands waiting for them to confirm. If they don't confirm, then there's no trade. And so, yeah, on the here's the other thing. Look at Apple. I don't want to go short when Apple is that far. I mean, look, we've had basically what 1, 2, and now we're on our third day down. You know, that's several days of the market of Apple moving down. And if you look at Apple, this is not the place to go short when you are that far outside of that hourly third ATR. Because if you look, did you want to go long when price was up at that third ATR? Probably not. So why would you want to go short when you were outside of that third ATR? You know, it kind of goes like this. You look at these, even these past examples. Is that a place to go short? Is that a place to go short? You know, on a swing basis, sure, the market did continue to go lower. But look what happened exactly when it hit that 30 ATR. The market went sideways, sideways. So yeah, that's why I'm saying I wouldn't be looking short on Apple. Therefore, I'm not looking short on the market. Now let's take a look at SMH. Joe Schmo, love it. Pretty much the same thing. You know, let's see. I looked at FNGU. I think the Nasdaq is basically looking the same way. Looking at, looking at Apple. You know, number one, look at that hourly chart. I do not want to be shorting that. It's going to take some really big disastrous something to keep pushing the market down to where something like that is going to be workable. I just don't. That is not a great place to want to initiate a short. Yeah, and if we look here on the daily chart, we are also coming back into, you know, if we talk about this being a double bottom, you know, hey, double bottom. So yes, maybe someday we go lower, but right here, everyone here is looking left and saying, that is an area of support. It bounced, and now we've got the bulls and the bears fighting. So today might be a sideways day. Sure, maybe nothing happens today. But that's kind of my point, is that today would not be a good day to short because everyone's looking there trying to figure out, what kind of support is this going to be? Now, if we do go lower, it's probably not going to be lower from here. It's probably going to be lower after a bear flag or after a bounce, you know, something like that. And then maybe we go lower. But if we're gonna bounce, then I could see that being an area where we bounce from. And then you could even see here on the 15, another potential elf shoe. So those of you in the Moxie room, hopefully you guys can see the screens. I think most people said they can. But even look SMH, potential elf shoe on the 15-minute time frame. Let's see what it looks like here on the, same kind of stuff. You know, we had kind of our first morning move up. That's great. Now we're pulling back, and now we have to determine if this pullback is into support, which if you look at just SMH, if you draw a line, how about that? Looks kind of like a inverse head and shoulders, doesn't it? So if I'm wrong about the short and the market decides to roll over, then count me wrong and I didn't take that trade. But if this starts to go sideways to up, then I'm reading it correctly, and I think that was the better direction to be paying attention to. But yeah, look at that line. The trend line looks really good. And look where it stopped, you know, right there, right on top of yesterday, previous price area. So, all right, guys. Well, for those of you on Facebook and YouTube and X and all that, I've been really getting into the day trading with 0 DTE options, so 0 day to expiration options on the SPX. We've got a lot of people in here, a lot of eyeballs on it. Lots of education has been happening, and I've been trying to really get up to speed on this stuff too. Yesterday, there was a move that set up in the last, what was it, 2 hours of the day, and even on Friday, let me zoom out. Even on Friday, there were two trades. There was one trade in the morning. There was one little trade right there at the kind of the middle of the day on the put, and then there was one nice big sweeping trade at the end of the day. Now, I didn't take all of them, but the setups were there, the things that I teach were there, the education is spot on. And this is the kind of stuff that even I need to be really wrapping my head around here and saying there are so many possibilities every day and every week on this stuff. I need to believe the setups, and we need to be willing to take these kind of things. And we take the setup, we have our stop loss, we have our targets, and then if it doesn't work or if it does work and we need to get back in again, then we do that. So we've been having a good time, lots of education, lots of learning in through here, and really refining the process. And I think even this morning, we had a little bit of a move up. We did get stopped out on this little pullback, but that's okay. We followed our rules. Everything worked out beautifully. And now if we can get a second move, we'll get right back in. And I think we'll have a great day. So we'll just see if the market gives us something like that. All right, guys. So those of you in the, as I said, in the social medias, if you want to check out what I've been up to, great. And for those in the Moxie room, let me give you just another couple minutes because I want to circle back with the market right now and see what's happening on these day trades and see if there's something that we can talk about and say, hey, let's watch this for the next hour or two or for the day and see if it's